into this other program called Desari. Anyway, so my point in all that is, if you miss class, or if you just want to miss something, you want to see it again, they'll all be on YouTube right after class. YouTube.com. Search for, my name, Brett Herron, and choose the Math 45 playlist. There's like playlists. You know about all that? That was all news to me. I don't know about technology, but my physics professor told me to do it, and I didn't know how to do it. And then my kids said, "Oh yeah, Dad, I'll set you up with a YouTube account." So I'm so cutting edge now. Got my own YouTube account. There it is. Like my stuff, so I can get. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care about whatever that does. I'm liked. All right. Anyway, so there we go. So yeah, so it'll be up there right after class. All these lectures are right there. So if you miss class, or if you just miss something, you want to go back and look, it'll be there. All right, so here we go. So how do we do this? The table below shows the preference ballots for an election with 16 voters and 3 candidates. Use the table to complete parts A through C. So let me explain the big deal. What are we even doing? What is this class even about? It's contemporary math. I like this class. It's kind of fun stuff. It's very real. It might sound strange, but a lot of people in Math 45 at the end say they enjoyed it, actually, because it's very real. So this first chapter, for example, it's voting theory. Every chapter is something different. Voting theory. What do we mean voting theory? Like, is voting tricky? Well, if you think about it for a little bit, it kind of is. Let's think about the way we vote right now. In fact, this last election might really be a very perfect one to comment on. Because when you go to vote, you just vote for who your first choice candidate is, right? Who you want to win, right? So Trump or Hillary Clinton, right? Honestly, I wasn't super thrilled about either one. I wish there was a good third option I could have voted for. I'm not here to tell you my political views, but I'm just doing this as a way of talking about voting theory. If we had another system where we could give our preferences, and that's what we're talking about here, do you see how that would change things? What I mean is, okay, maybe this person's my first choice, and this person's my second choice, and this person's my third choice, right? So, first choice, I guess Trump won. He didn't get a majority, but he got more than Hillary Clinton did. So what if somebody was to vote and say, okay, Trump's my first choice, Clinton's my second choice, and I don't even remember who else ran. The Green Party always has somebody. Who'd they have? Nobody knows. they never win. Who? What's that?
What's his name?
That's right. If you come to see a grant, let me know. Green Party. So that might be what one person votes. Think about the difference. Right now, all we do is we say our first choice. We don't mention anything else, right? Trump ended up winning, but I wonder if some other people said Clinton was their first choice, right? And I bet the people that said Clinton was their first choice, I bet Trump was like their 10th choice. I'm just making up a number, but way down on the list, I bet. Of course, probably Clinton as well for the Trump people. I don't know, whatever. But my point is, if what is an election supposed to do? An election is supposed to determine the will of the people, right? It's supposed to say, how do the people feel? I mean, who do they like best? Well, isn't there more to who you like best than just your first choice? Maybe it's like, okay, yeah, what if it's true that, I don't know what it was, 49% of the people liked Trump best, and something like 48% liked Hillary Clinton best. But what if among those people that liked Trump best, they were like, well, if it's not Trump, I'll take Clinton, but the Clinton people really didn't want Trump? Wouldn't it kind of be the will of the people that they might prefer, I'm not saying this very clearly, they might prefer Clinton more, even though more have first choice of Trump, maybe a lot of people don't like Trump at all. Like if Trump is absolutely hated by everybody else, even though more like him first, is he really the will of the people? Am I making any sense on that? Let's look at the examples. I think it'll make a little more sense, these practical examples. So what I'm saying is, if we had voting that gave more than just your first choice, gave your first, your second, your third, your fourth, we would get more information about the will of the people and maybe be able to more faithfully determine the will of the people. That is the purpose of voting. All right, let's see it in this example. So what do these ballots mean? This ballot right here, this means, this right here, this means that this person likes candidate B best, then candidate C, then candidate A. That's their preference. They prefer B first, then their second choice is C, and last of all is A. They really don't like A. Okay, that's that person. And then the next ballot, that's one ballot. And then here's another ballot. That person, A is their favorite, followed by B, followed by C. This person, C is their favorite, followed by B, followed by A, and on you go. Right? These are all individual ballots. See how it says ballots up here? These are all individual. This is how people voted. So notice they're not just giving their first choice, which is all we do right now in the presidential election. There's other systems, by the way. When they vote Rookie of the Year, when they vote which city gets the Olympic Games, the International Committee, they don't use our system. And I'll be sure they use some of these other systems we'll be seeing. We'll be trying to determine what's the fairest way. What's the way that's most fair to determine the will of the people? So that's what we're researching, and we're going to use math. The whole purpose of this class is math applied to the real world. How can we use math to make voting as fair as possible? That's what we're looking at in Chapter 1. All right, so those are all ballots, and they're saying who they like best, second, and third. Best, second, and third, and on you go. So, number of voters. How many voters like A first, then B, then C? How many ABCs are there? Looks like, or maybe I better erase all this. Is that how many? Let's go back. So, how many ABCs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, just 5, huh? So that would be 5 right there. See where I'm putting that? So 5 ABCs. All right. How many? What's the next one? How many BCAs? 1. Is that what it is? 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 BCAs. And are all the rest the other one, I guess? CBAs. 2, 3, 6 CBAs. 6 CBAs, the other 6, yeah. All right? That's all no, that's part 1. I got to go to part 2 and part 3. So that's the first thing they want you to do. They want you to turn all these ballots into this. This is called a preference. I don't see the words up here. I'll underline them. This is called a preference schedule. In other words, it's what the people's preferences are listed as a schedule. In other words, 5 voters like A best, followed by B, followed by C. 5 like B best, followed by C, followed by A. And 6 like C, followed by B, followed by A. That's called a preference schedule. It comes from the individual ballots. Okay, let's go to part 2. I'll write that out. Okay, so there we go. So, okay, so getting back. So again, plurality. Plurality, I got a funny color there. Okay, so plurality means more than anyone else. That's different than majority. Which means more than half. See, with me on the difference in those words? Majority is more than 50%, more than half. Plurality is more than it is. That's what always happens with our national elections, right? Trump didn't get a majority, right? He didn't get more than half of the country, right? He got 49% or something like that. But well, actually, anyway, I think actually Hillary ended up getting more, didn't she? Anyway, whatever. Popular vote, but electoral election, whatever. So you get the idea, right? So plurality just means more than anybody else. Majority is more than half. So candidate C here got 6 first-place votes. That's more than anybody else got. But did candidate C get a majority? Did candidate C get more than half? How many people voted total? How many total ballots are there? You can just add up these numbers, right? Because 5 people voted this way, 5 people voted that way, 6 voted that way. How many total ballots? 16 ballots, huh? So what's half of 16? 8 is half. So if you have more than 8, so then more than 8, or I'll just say 9 or more. 9 or more. 9 or more. That says more. 9 or more would be a majority. Did anybody get 9 or more? No. So nobody got a majority. Nobody got more than half. So C got a plurality more than anybody else, but not a majority. See that? Oh, you can use a 3x5 card for every exam. So for the exam on Thursday, 3x5 card, write anything you want, both sides of the 3x5 card. It'll be a lot of that handout I gave you that you'll want to write on there. I'll explain in a minute. But yeah, so you could write on there that plurality majority definition. Finally, question C. Which candidate has the fewest last place votes? Who has the fewest last place votes? Who's not hated, in other words? Yeah, nobody hates B. Notice, right? Nobody put B less. Everybody likes B first or second. Right? B's not really a hated candidate, not a divisive candidate, we would say, right? So nobody has B last. So B has the, so that's where I say B, in some ways, might be the will of the people. Do you know what I mean? B only has one, look at this with me for a second. B only has one less first place vote than C. And some people really hate C. So when you think about the will of the people, some people might say B is more generally liked than C, perhaps. We'll look at some different methods. All right. Is that good so far? That's all of question 1 there. Okay, there we go. An election is held to choose the chair of a department at a university. Candidates are Professor A, B, C, basically. The following table, blah, blah, blah. All right, so there we go. So there's a preference schedule, the results of a bunch of ballots. Is that making sense what that says now? That means 6 people like A best, then B, then C. 4 people like A best, then C, then B, which is different, right? They have different second and third place feelings. 4 people like B best, followed by A, then C. And 9 people, that's the biggest number up there, like C best, followed by B, then A. All right, so how many people voted in this election? Yeah, we just add those numbers up, huh? What was it, 6? And you can use calculators, tests, everything. 13, is that what, 16? Yes, 22, huh? So 22 people voted in that election. So far, so good. I'm going to need to go back to the... All right, so there we go. So, change the screen a little bit. So, how many voted? So, it's the same problem with just different numbers. You just add up these numbers in the top. 9 plus 3 plus 3 plus 6. 21 people voted. How many first place votes are needed for a majority? Can you all read that? How many first place votes are needed for a majority? Majority means what? More than half. So, if you take, so how are we going to figure that out? What's a majority? There's 21 total voters. Yeah, so you take the 21, you divide by 2, right? For majority, you got to find half. That'd be 10.5. So 11 or more is a majority. Round it up, right? You got to be more than half. So 11. That's why the answer is 11. All right, and then part C. If it came down to a choice between A and C, which one would get more votes? Now, how can you figure that out? If it was just A and C. Do you see what they're saying there? If it was just, forget about, if candidate B suddenly dropped out, in other words. See what they're saying? Let me make sure the question is clear. In an election between A and C, if it was just A and C, so that means B drops out. So go up to the table, bye-bye B, bye-bye B, bye-bye B, bye-bye B. Right? Drop B out. Okay, if B drops out, assuming nobody changes their feelings, they have the same feelings they've always had, but B's just out of the election now. All right? How many people would prefer A? If it's just A versus C. How many would like A? These 9 people, they've liked A all along, they would still like A. These 3 people, they've liked A all along, they don't care that B dropped out, they still like A. These 3 people, they used to like B, but B dropped out. Who do they like best now? A, who was their second choice, but B's dropped out. So the 9, the 3, and the 3 would all now like A best if it was just A and C. They really don't like C, right? So 9 plus 3 plus 3. What's that, 15? 15 like A best, don't they? And the other, 6? 6 like C. So who would win if it was just A versus C? Clearly, A would win with 15. See how we do that? See how we can look at a preference schedule and just compete one person against another? and see how people would feel about that based on their preference values. Questions on that? Number 2. So we're just getting the feel of preference voting. Parts. So, all right, let's do it here now. All right. Student body in high school is having an election for homecoming queen. Candidates A, B, and C, and D. The following table, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of voters. Okay. Use the plurality method to find the winner. Okay. So this is our first method. This is the first. We're going to have 4 in this chapter. We're going to have 4 different voting methods and 4 what are called fairness criteria. We're going to go, hey, that's not fair because of this. Or this one's not fair because of that. So we're going to have 4 ways of determining the election and 4 critiques of why we think different things might not be fair. All right, so here we go. 177 people like A best, followed by C, then B, then D. 145 people, da-da-da, on you go. So there's the preference schedule. Using the plurality method. What is the plurality? Let me write it up here. Plurality method. What does the word plurality mean? First place, it means who got the most first place wins. It's how we currently do national elections. It's exactly what we do, right? All we look at is first place. We don't even ask people what their second or third or fourth. We don't care. We just say, who do you like best, right? That's how we do national elections currently. All we ask for is your first choice. So that's what plurality, that is called the plurality method, because plurality means first choice. Having more first place than anybody else, if so, you win. So who has the most first place? Well, it looks like the answer is A and D. How would we determine that if we didn't already have it in front of us? Well, you would just need to add them up. How many first place does A have? 170. Those 177 people like A best. Those 145 like A best. Those 38 like A best. All those people like A best, right? How many? Somebody got a calculator? I should have brought my calculator. 300 and maybe almost 400. High 300 or low 400. Anybody? I don't know. What is it?
360.
360? Thank you. And then we could add up B. How many people like B best? Well, for B, it's the 218, the 103, and the 13, right? 218, 103, and 13. What is that? 333? 339, thank you. 339, like B best. How much? That's less. That's 360 was A. How many like C best? 133, 218. That's it. So what is that one? 351. Thank you. And then how many like D best? 142, 218. I guess it's 360, a tie with A. That's why that's the answer, huh? All right. So notice the winners are A and D. They have the most first place. So they tied for the most first place votes. So that's why the answer is A and D. It's a tie for the most first place. So plurality. So remember, right on your 3x5 card for Thursday's test, plurality is all about first place. We don't care about second, third, but that's what we do in the national election. And we're just going to try to determine how fair is that? How fair is that? That's what we'll be looking at here in a minute. So that all that considers is who you like best, first place. Okay. Now coming down. Now what do you do when they tie? They tied. Well, you got to have a tie-breaking rule. One tie-breaking rule says that if there is more than one alternative with the plurality of first place votes, that's our case. If they're tied, then the tie is broken by choosing the alternative with the fewest last place. Right, so if A and D tied with the most first place votes, which they did, how do you break the tie? Well, there's lots of ways. One way is to say, well, who had the fewest last place? Now, where do you see last place? I see A here and here. Now, careful, remember, that's not just one. That's 103 people. Put A last, and 218 people put A last. So add that up, whatever that is. How many put D last? Yeah. So D has 177. What's that, 13? And 218. Oh, I don't know. Looks like there's more D's, aren't there? More D's? Yeah. Looks like there's a lot more D's that are last place. You can add up those numbers. I don't want to bother to add them all. Well, I guess I could. So last, how many does A have last? A has the 103 and the 218. What is that? 321? And how many last place does D have?
408.
Is that what it is? Thank you. 408. So D has more last place. More people think D is the worst. So therefore, we should break the tie and give A the victory. That's one way of breaking a tie. It's not the only way. You could say who has the most second place. That's another way, right? But one way is to say who has the least last place. Well, let's go on to part C. A different tie-breaking rule says that there are two candidates that are tied, blah, blah. The tie is broken by a head-to-head comparison between the two candidates. Who would be homecoming queen under this tie-breaking rule? Okay. Do you get what they're talking about? So they're giving us two different systems for breaking the tie. That's what this chapter is all about. What's the fairest? What's the best way to determine things? So one way is to say who has the fewest last place. Another way is to say, hey, just let the other candidates drop out. Whenever they say head-to-head, whenever they say head-to-head, that means just those two, everybody else drop out. So go back to the schedule and drop everybody else out. So we're just talking about A and D, right? So just drop out. You okay? I'm going to go to a fresh screen if that's okay, just so it's getting kind of messy. All right, so just drop out. I'm on part C now. Let's just drop out everybody but A and D. I'm on part C right now. Head to head. So A and D head to head. So drop out B and C. 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 B and C are dropping out. We don't care. We're just trying to do head to head with A and D. Okay, so there we go. I just dropped B and C out of everything. So I've just got A and D now. So I can say, who would they prefer? Basically, we're saying to the crowd, the high school kids, we're saying, hey, if it's just A versus D, who would you prefer? That's what we're basically doing, right? We're saying, don't tell me about B and C. I know some of you like B best, some of you like C best. Forget about all that. It's going to be A or D. So who do you like best between A and D? That's what we're basically doing.
And then we basically just pick like the one with the most.
The one with the most, yeah. So how many would A have? And this is the head-to-head. 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 A versus D. Head-to-head. So A has how many? Those 177 like A best. These 145 like A best. These 38 like A best. They always have. Now the 218, they used to like B best, but B's out. So who do they like better? D. They prefer D over A. Huh? So they're now D fans. How about the 103? They're D fans also. The 13, they're now A fans. Right? The 133, they're now A fans over D. The 218, I think A's going to get it, right? 218 are now A fans over D. So we've got to add all that up. Somebody got a calculator?
724.
724, thank you. So 724 people would prefer the A. Now, how many prefer D? Well, the rest. So is that's the 218 and the 103 and the 142 and the 218.
681.
Kind of close. A wins, though. A wins by that method. So A versus D, they prefer A. See how the head-to-head stuff is always done? Just drop everybody else out. So there's just some different ways to break a tie. We're not saying which one's right or wrong. We're going to do that in a little bit. We're going to start getting critical of these methods in a bit. But first, let's just learn the different methods. Questions on that one? So this will be on YouTube. If I'm going too fast in any way, you can always check it out later. We're going to get into the fairness ideas now. All right, so here we go. Election is held to choose the chair of department, university, blah, 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 A, B, C, D. There's the schedule. Use the board account method. Okay, we're getting a new method. Now, this is the second of our 4 methods. The first was plurality, which is first place is all that matters. This next method is called board account. What that means is it's basically giving points to their value system. It makes sense as far as what you do is you say, all right, if you get a first place vote, we'll give you 4 points. You get a second place, you get 3 points. Third place, 2 points. Last place, only 1 point. Almost like a GPA calculation or something, right? We're just going to assign points, right? Because people are saying not only do they like best, but second, third, and fourth. And so we're just going to give them points. So you just give 1 point to the last place, 2, 3, and 4 for first place. So then it's a little tedious though. This method takes a long time because you got to calculate everything out. So let's give it a try. So using board account, let's figure out how many votes would A get. So let me write what we're doing. Board account. 4 points first place. 3 points second place. 2 points for third place. And 1 point for fourth place. Okay, so that's the game plan. Here we go. These 8 people. Well, we're going to start with candidate. Let's do candidate A first off. Candidate A. How many? Those 8 people. They all put candidate A last, right? So A only gets 1 point from each of those people, right? Because fourth place is worth 1 point. So 8 people times 1. It's going to be 8. Good so far? Those 8, you take the number of people times the point value each of them gave to A. I'm just doing A right now. Then I'll do a whole thing for B, a whole thing for C, and a whole thing for D. This is tedious. This is the most tedious of the 4 methods. This board account. It's a lot of button pushing. So next, how about these 5 people? Where did they put A? Second, how much is the second place vote worth? 3. So 5 people each gave A 3 points. Does that make sense? Number of people times the point value. Right? First place is worth 4 points, 3 points, then 2, then only 1. So 5 people gave 3 points to A. 5 times 3. And then next, these 2 people put A first. How many points for that? 4. So 2 people each gave A 4 points. And finally, this 1 person also put A first. So 1 person gave 4 points to A. So add that up. Calculator, 15, 23, 31. Is it 35? Anybody got that number? Let me know if I did it wrong when you check it. I'm just going quick. I might mess up. Go on to B. Can you do B? Let me give you a second there. Give that a try. See if you can calculate B. How many points B gets. Give it a try. So, I'll go through it with you. So, B is what? Second, so this is 4 points, 3, 2, 1. So, 8 people give B 3 points. 8 times 3. Good so far? Since how I'm doing that, 8 people each gave B 3 points for second place. And then 5 people each gave B 1. And 2 people each gave B what? 2 points? Finally, 1 person gave B 1 point. 24, 29, 33, 34. 34 total points for B. Is that good so far? Makes sense how I'm cranking that out? This is tedious. It just gives a whole point thing for every candidate. Let's go on to C. You do the whole thing every time over again for each letter. Pretty tedious. All right, so how many does C get?
45.
Is that what it is? You guys already got it, huh? 8 times, again, it's 4, 3, 2, 1. 8 times 2. Whoops, I'm kind of getting scribbly here. 8 times 2. 5 times 4. 2 times 3. And 1 times 3.
Wait, where you get 5? Oh, wait.
Good?
On the 5 part, D. Oh, wait, you're working on C, my bad.
Yeah, doing C, yeah.
Okay.
16, 20, 26, 32. Was it 35?
Which one?
C?
C is 45.
Is it 45?
Yeah.
20, yeah, 36. 40, you're right. Are my other ones right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
The other one's right.
Oh, the other one's right. Okay, I just messed up on that one. Okay, good. And then D, finally D. D must be the winners. That was the answer to the question. No? I thought D won. Okay, let's see. So 8 people put D first place. That's already 32 votes. And then 5 people gave D 2 each. And 2 people gave D 1 each. And 1 person put D at 2 points. 32, 42, 43, 44, 5, 4, 46. Barely, huh? Barely D won the battle. So D got the most points. So you see how that works? Just giving different points for the preference level. Just calculating it out. I shouldn't do red on the bottom. You can probably see that, huh? That thing. We good with that so far? That's all part A. That's just part A, all that. So just add another. That method is called board account. So who would win the election by that method?
D.
D. D has the most overall points. We would give the election to D. Now, stop for just a second. Oh, yeah, no, I guess it's the same thing. D would have also won if we just did plurality, huh? Because D does also have the most first place votes. So D would have won by either voting method there, by plurality or by board account. D wins the election, either way. Okay? Now, what's question B say? Suppose that before the votes are counted, candidate B is declared ineligible. Find the new preference schedule for election without candidate B. Choose the correct answer below. So in other words, B drops out. Let's just say, hey, here's how everybody feels, right? These 8 people feel this way, 5, 2, and 1. This is how everybody feels. You've already got their information, and then all of a sudden they're about to count the votes, and B says, or they find B's declared ineligible. B should not have been running for the post. They find out B was not really a U.S. citizen or something. I don't know, whatever. And so B's out. B is out of the race. So they go back up here and they say, all right, B, you're out. So cross off B, cross off B. Now notice, nobody's changing their mind, right? B's just dropping out. They still feel the same way they always felt. B's just dropping out. So now, what would be the new preference schedule? Well, these two groups would combine, because they're the same now. They both are ACD, aren't they? So that'd be 3. They'd combine 3 ACD. 3 ACD, and the 8 and the 5, they're just as they were. So that's option B here. That good? Everybody see how I'm coming up with that? That would be the new preference schedule, because the 2 and the 1 would come together to be 3 that all feel ACD, don't they? Is that good? See how they combine? Okay. So that's what we're doing there. That'd become the new thing. Now, if you're good with that, I'm going to go back to, there's another question based on that here. All right, so there it is. So now, so here's our new, B dropped out, right? B dropped out. So here's our new preference schedule. Now, let's do board account again. which seems ridiculous, right? I mean, we've already did the whole entire thing. We know who's going to win. D's going to win. Actually, something's going to change now, right? So here we go. Let's redo it. So because B dropped out of the election, let's do board account with the new schedule, right? B is out. The new schedule would be out. So with this schedule here. So how many would A get? 8 people put A last. Oh, now by the way, guys, remember the bottom vote is only 1 point. You always start in the bottom, then 2, then 3. So first place is only 3 points now because there's only 3 candidates in it now. It doesn't start at 4. It starts at 1 on the bottom and goes up. However many candidates you have. So bottom is 1 point. Next is 2, and the top is only 3 points if there's only 3 candidates. You just get 3 points for first place. Make sense? Now, before we do the calculation, or go ahead if you're doing it, should D win again? I mean, should in the fairness sense. No one has changed their opinion. No one has changed their opinion. How they felt before, they still feel. The will of the people. That's the purpose of a voting system, right? Is to determine the will of the people, who they really like best. Well, we already did it, and we said they liked D best. And then B was declared ineligible. Who cares, right? Should be anyway. Should be, who cares? Because B was never their favorite anyway. B dropped out. Who cares? Bye-bye, B. We never liked you best anyway. D should still win. If it's fair, right? How would you feel if you're candidate D? You're told, you're going to win. We got the numbers. Oh, wait a minute. We just found that B is ineligible. Right, B's out. Oh, now you don't win, D. Like, what?
It shifts his position down, essentially, I guess?
Yeah, let's calculate it, yeah. But you feel how unfair that is. You're like, what kind of bogus system are you using? The people haven't changed their views, and you're telling me they like me best, better than B. B drops out. Who cares? B was never the favorite, and now they don't like me best anymore? What kind of system is that? Do you see how unfair? There's a huge unfairness thing going on with this system. That's what we're looking at. What's fair? What's right? Let's recalculate. A, how many does A get? A gets 8 1-pointers, right? 8 people put A last, 1 point. A gets 5, 2-pointers? And A gets 3 first place. What is that? 18, 21? Let's go to B. Oops, come on. B. What does B get? B's not in the election. B dropped out. I forgot. Let's do C. C, how many does C get? C gets 8 2-pointers. C gets 5 3-pointers. And C gets 3 2-pointers. C's going to probably win now. 16 and 15, is that 31? Is it 37? Did I do that right?
Yeah.
All right, let me know if I mess up the numbers. And then D, how many does D get? D gets 8 3-pointers. D gets, now D's the bottom of the other two. 5 1-pointers and 3 1-pointers. It's 24 and 8, 32. C now wins, that's what it's saying, Chavez. C now wins the election. That does not seem fair. Right? Because the people's opinions haven't changed. Just one of the candidates dropped out. Why would that change the outcome of the election? Do you see how this system, which seems so fair on the surface, just give them points. Just add up the points. That seems fair. Well, not really. We see that this is obviously a problem. This is the kind of thing that produces lawsuits in elections, right? Because when somebody finds out, you're telling me whatever system you're using, the people like me best, and then some irrelevant candidate who wasn't going to win anyway, it drops out, B drops out, and then suddenly they don't like me best? How could that be? You're telling me they liked me better than C originally, but now that B's out, they like C better? That seems unfair, doesn't it? And so that's what they're going to ask us in Part D. The results of this violate which fairness criterion? You have those all written on your sheets there. Let me call your attention to them. That handout I gave you, Chapter 1, it's one of the only handouts I'm going to give you all summer. Well, Well, I'll give you a couple more, but not a lot. It's one of these. I can't remember which one it is. Isn't it irrelevant? Oh yeah, if you look on the third page where the table is, we have the fairness thing. Those are the 4 fairness criteria on page 3. Those are the 4 fairness criteria. Look at the bottom one, independence of irrelevant alternatives criterion. See that one down there right above the table? That's the one we're talking about. And notice what it says, if a candidate is the winner of an election, right? D won the election. And then one or more of the other candidates are removed, right? B was removed. And the ballots are recounted, right? We redid the election. Then the original winner should still be the winner. And he wasn't. That makes sense. That seems fair, right? Just because somebody irrelevant dropped out, that shouldn't change the outcome, but it did. So that means board account method violates the, what's it called? Independence of irrelevant alternatives criterion. Right? B was irrelevant. It shouldn't have made such a big difference, but it did. So there we go. So that's possible. I'm showing you the chart here. Basically, that table, that's probably what you're going to want to put in your 3x5 grids, that table. That's real helpful. It tells you, notice the board account method. So there they are. If you look at that table, there's the 4 methods we're going to use. We've already done plurality and board account. We're halfway there. We've done 2 of the 4 methods. We have 2 more to go. And across the way, you can see what their strengths and their weaknesses are. Plurality is easy to determine the winner, right? Condorcet, board account, considers all preferences, produces a best compromise winner, but it violates. Notice over there, it violates 3 of our 4 criterion. Board account can do a lot of violating of different things. And we'll be showing that as we go. So it just violated our sense of fairness. So we don't really like it for that, in that sense. It doesn't seem completely fair. That's why they kept coming up with these. Because they would come up with math people who wanted, use their math to help society vote fairly. They would try to come up with a math system that would be fair. And they would come up with something like the board account. And they go, this seems fair. And then they would realize different scenarios in which it could do something unfair. And they go, oh, that's not a good one. Let's come up with a new one. That's why we have these 4 different methods. They kept trying to come up with new ones to find one that's completely fair. That's the deal. And we'll see if we have one by the end. So good to there? That makes sense? Was that just a question? All right, want to try that? So let me let you do a little bit instead of me just cranking out. See if it's making sense for you. So we're doing the plurality with elimination. So do your round 1. And the percentages, don't worry about that at all. Don't make them decimals or anything. Just treat them like actual vote numbers. You know what I mean? Don't even worry about the 40%. Just say, hey, that's like 40 people. That'll totally work. That's like 25 people. That's like 25. That's like 10. Just do it that way. It'll work totally fine. You don't need to make them decimals or anything. Right? Percentage just means that part. So just, 10% of the voters is like 10 voters out of 100. It'll work fine. Just treat it that way. Candidate A, this will be round 1. So how many like A best? Just 25. And B, same number. Oh, you're right. I didn't see that one. 25 and 10, huh? Be 35.
C, nobody likes C best. I think C's going away. D, 40. Now, you do have to ask, though, does anybody have more than half right now?
No.
What would be half?
50.
50 or 51, I guess. Yeah, because it's out of percentage, right? 50%. When you're talking percentages, 50% is half. So majority would be 51 or more. It's got to be more than half, so 51. Anyway, nobody has that. So who do we drop out? We drop out C, right? C's out. So go on to round 2 now. And there's going to be no C. There's going to be an A and a B and a D. So go up to the table and just cross off C. And see what you got. All right, so A, how many like A best? 25? These 25. How many like B best? Still 35, same as it was, huh? And how many like D best? The 40? All right, does anybody have more than half?
Nope.
No, nobody has 51 or more, so who drops out? A's out. We eliminate A, plurality with elimination. So go on to round 3. So nobody had more than half. See, last time we did it, it ended in round 2 because D already had more than half. But not this time. We go to round 3, and now drop A out of the table. And it's all down to B and D. Yeah, B's going to take them. Even though B was behind all the way, B's going to take them now, huh? B's going to have, yeah, because B, and that's why, you know why? Because B maybe wasn't everybody's favorite, but B wasn't ever super unpopular, huh? Yeah, he's kind of well-liked. He's not hated by anybody, whereas, like, A is you'd call A a divisive candidate, right? Which is, I think, what, President Trump probably has been. You either love him or hate him, right? A is, like, on the bottom here, and A's on the, some people love him, some people hate him. Right? That's a divisive candidate, really splits the people. Whereas B is more of a generally well-liked candidate. Nobody puts B at the bottom. Anyway, so that's what this method is showing us. So B has 25, 25, and 10, 60. And D has 40. Everybody see that? Right? D, here's B, here's B, here's B. They get the 25, 25, 10. So who wins? B got a majority, more than half in the last round. So B wins the election by the method of plurality with elimination. Now, B would have never won with just the normal plurality method, right? If we would have just said from the beginning, all right, it's like a national election. How many people like D best? 40. How many like A best? And how many people like B best? Would have been 35. D would have won. D would have won by a national election. But by this method, plurality with elimination, B ended up winning at the very end because it came down to just those two. So you see how this method considers second and third and fourth place feelings, not just first place feelings. So it might do a better job. It's debatable, and we'll kind of get into that debate a little bit. Is it more fair? Does it do a better job of really honestly reporting what the will of the people is? Maybe. Let's talk about it. Questions on how to do it, though? You good with cranking it out? Does that make sense? How to do that? Just round by round. And we won't finish. It's a longer method. Let's get started. Then you would have at least seen all 4. All right. Pairwise comparison. Last method. So this is the 4th one. And there are some things that are actually unfair about the method we just finished. I'll show you those tomorrow. But so because there were some things that turned out to be unfair about the last method, they went on to another one. This one's called pairwise comparison. This one's like a big round-robin tournament. Do you know what I mean by that? Like everybody plays everybody. That's what round-robin is in any sporting event.
all the teams play all the other teams. Right? Everybody plays everybody, and you keep the score on who beat whom, and then whoever wins the most in the end, they're the winner. That's basically the method. You can read that all here. Where does it say that? Plurality. Pairwise comparison. Every candidate is matched 1-to-1 with every other candidate. I'm reading in the middle of the chart. 1 for a win, half for a tie. It's like, what sport do you get 1 for a win and half for a tie? Isn't that what hockey does? I'm not a big hockey fan, but I think they're 1 point for a win, half for a tie, right? Soccer do that? I don't think so.
3 and 1.
What is it?
3 and 1.
Oh, 3 for a win, 1 for a tie? I didn't know that. All right. But in hockey's 1 and then a half for a tie, I think. Whatever. That's the system. So basically, it's match. So we're doing pairwise comparison. Where does it say that? Oh, here. Pairwise comparison. So yeah, let me write that down here. So pairwise comparison. How do we do pairwise comparison? It's break into all 1-to-1 matches. So you have to break them into all 1-to-1 matches. If you win, you get 1 point. Tie, you get a half. Lose, you get 0. So, and then you just keep score. So what am I talking about? Well, here's the different letters. M, H, J, R, T. It's whatever, I don't know what we're talking about. The drama club and what they want to read. So here we go. I'm going to have to first off break into all 1-to-1 matches. How do I do that? Start with M and go right down the list. M with H, M with J, M with R, bless you, and M with T. So there's the first list. What did I just do? I had M play everybody else or compete against everybody else.
And you go down that list.
Yeah.
Down and down and down.
Right, so here's M against everybody, so went down the list. M, H, M, J, M, R, M, T. Now that's all the ones starting with M. Put a line if it helps you or whatever. Next, I'm going to start with H and go down the list. Starting with H. Why? Why don't I need to go back up to M? No. HM I don't need. I've already got that up here. M already played H. That ball game's over. All right? So you don't need to go back up the list. You just always go down. So don't go up, just go down. Start with H, H with J, H with R, and H with T. H with J, H with R, H with T. Does that make sense? All 4 H games, I did say 4, are up there. This H game and these 3 H games. All 4. H is done. That's all the battles H will enter. Next. Let's go to J. J, just go down. Remember, you don't need to go back up. He's already played the ones above him. Just go down. J to R, J to T. J to R, J to T. I'm running out of room here. J to R, J to T.
And then it gets smaller with every.
Yeah, it goes down by 1 each time because there's always 1 less down below you. And so that's all the ones for J. Yeah, there was 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them. And then the last one, right, we're done with J. R with T. Put that right here, R with T. Can you read that? It's red. Here, I'm just going to stick it in the top maybe. R with T. That's it. That's all the 1-to-1 matchups. That's everybody playing everybody. Round robin tournament, they call it. Does that make sense? How I came in? Now we got to determine them still, though. But that's just the list, which is itself can be challenging at times. Everybody see how I made that list? I just started with M, went down the line. Start with H, down the line, J, down, R, down. So RT. Okay. Now for each of those, this is tedious. For each of those, we have to decide who wins. Meaning, if R, let's just start with the RT battle here. If R and T battle, just R and T, who's going to win? In other words, if you ask the people, the will of the people, just R and T now, Romeo and whatever the other one is, the T is Taming of the Shrew. Romeo and Juliet and Taming of the Shrew. Just these 2 books. If it was just these 2 folks, who would you prefer, right? You're asking the crowd, just the R and the T. If it was just those 2, ignore head-to-head, ignore everybody else, who would you prefer? Well, we just go up here, and how many, so, is that what it is? How many, these 20 would prefer what? I'm just doing RT now. R or T? Who would those 20 people prefer? Here's R. Here's T. Here's R. Here's T. Yeah, you got to remember the numbers at the top. R and T. Who would they, those 20 people, if it was just came down to R versus T, who would they prefer? T. They're like, okay, if it's just R and T, we don't really like R and T, either one, very much. But if it's just T and R, we would prefer the T. They ranked the T their third choice, and the R is their absolute last choice. So if it comes down to R and T, those 20 people, let me write this up here, those 20 people would prefer for R and T, they'd prefer R. No, whoops, got that backwards. They'd prefer D. Put it over T. Keep going. These 20 people, who would they prefer, R or T? Well, R. R is their big favorite. Okay, these, what is it, 16? 16 people. Who would they prefer? Here's T, here's R. They prefer the T. These 12 people, T and R, who do they prefer? T. I think T's going to take this thing. These 12, who do they prefer? Well, then R. There's R. That's not as big as the other one. So these 8 people, who do they prefer? T. So clearly, I'm not even going to add that up. I can tell T won that battle. So I go T. That's just one of all those. I got to do that for every one of those. Yeah, this is tedious. This may be worse than board account. This is very tedious. So T just got a victory. That was a head-to-head battle, and T won 1 point for T. I got to go all the way down the line, and you get 1 point for a victory, half a point for a tie. When you're all done, you got to add up everybody's points, and whoever has the most victory points, they win the election. Does that make sense? We don't have time for all that. But we'll finish that tomorrow. That's this method of pairwise comparison. That's what you got to do. Big round robin tournament. All right. Well, we will stop there. That's as far as we can go on that. So what did we get done? Let's do. So homework due tomorrow, Tuesday, is what did we finish? The chapter, is it called 1.1? Is that what it is? Yeah, 1.1. So not this section, but we did finish 1.1. So you guys, it'll be due tomorrow at 12 noon at class time on mathexcel.com. Mathexcel.com. And I will have a clicker quiz at the start and at the end of class on tomorrow. So buy your clicker, bring your clicker with you. Right at the beginning of class tomorrow, I'll put a multiple choice question up there. It's kind of like the test questions. You have to get you ready for the test. And you'll click your answer. It'll be one of these things we just did today. Like, who wins the election by board account or something. And you can figure it out and click in your answer. So have your clicker with you. We'll do that and get on MathXL tonight. That'll be due tomorrow at 12 noon. Oh, I need to give ad cards, which I forgot to grab for a couple of you guys, right? Need ad cards. Anything else I'm forgetting? I think that's it. Yeah. For the MathXL thing, it should be on that bottom. Yeah, it's on the third page underneath number 2. Yeah, for the MathXL, it's the course ID is third page under number 2 there. It should be there for you. All right. Well, I will see you tomorrow, guys. And hang out if you need an ad card. I'll grab those for you. If you need to review this, it'll be on YouTube right now. I'll ship it to YouTube. Welcome to summer school.
Any help with the fast food?
Yeah, I got you.